A very good morning. It is yet another interesting Thursday edition of the Camnet Breakfast Show, where we look at governance, policy, and politics. I'm Patrick Soko, your usual host, and I'm not alone in studio. I am with the birthday boy himself, Makokwa Kozi. Good morning and happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here this morning, and we are hoping to have a very interactive and informative show this morning.
And now talking about informative, what should people expect?
Well, a lot. There's a lot that is coming on the. We'll be reviewing the stories that are making the headlines, and also we are going to be, as usual, the first segment, getting to be informed about our health, and of course we're going to also look at some of the games that were played yesterday in Europe and other leagues.
Interesting. Now, to just get started, we get to that first segment, which is the Health Corner with the doctors. Keep it on Camnet TV, and we are waiting for you to join us, especially Majira from the sweetest town of Mazabuka. We want you to join us and give us a ride as we take you on the breakfast show. Keep it on Camnet.
Good morning and welcome to the health segment on the breakfast show. I am Dr. Nawina Lotto. This week we have been discussing about malaria, and we have learned so many things about malaria. Some of the things we have learned include that malaria is caused by a parasite that is spread by mosquitoes, and this parasite can cause so many things in the body to be affected. And some of the symptoms that malaria presents with is headache, fever, nausea, vomiting, weakness, body pains, body malaise, and all these symptoms can affect people of all age groups. Malaria can be treated, and we also highlighted some of the treatment, and we talked about how malaria can be diagnosed in the hospital and treated in the hospital. We also talked about some of the complications of malaria. We said malaria can affect the brain, it can affect the lungs, it can affect the kidneys, the liver, the blood, and even affect pregnant women and their unborn children. So today we want to talk about how you can prevent yourself from getting malaria. There are some things that you can do at home to prevent yourself from having malaria. One of the things that you can do is to make sure that you always sleep in a mosquito net. It's important that you get treated mosquito nets to sleep in at home and prevent yourself from getting mosquito bites. The other thing that you can do is cutting down grass that is around the house. Mosquitoes that cause malaria, and just mosquitoes in general, usually breed in grass areas. So make sure that you cut down the grass that is around the house. The other thing that can be done is to make sure that you fill places that have water with sand to prevent mosquitoes from breeding in those places, because mosquitoes can breed in dumpy areas. So make sure that you cover the dumpy areas with some sand if you're able to. The other thing that you can do at home is to make sure that you close all your windows in good time in the evening to prevent mosquitoes from getting into the house that can cause malaria. If you are going out in a camp, make sure that you carry some mosquito repellent and apply some repellent in the exposed areas on your body so that you can prevent mosquitoes from biting you. For pregnant women, make sure that you always attend your antenatal and they usually give medications to prevent pregnant mothers from getting malaria. So be sure to go for your antenatal visits every month. So these are some of the things that we have learned this week, and I hope you have learned something. I hope you have learned that malaria can be treated and that malaria can be prevented by preventing yourself from getting bitten by mosquitoes. So make sure you protect yourself and make sure you protect your loved ones at home. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you a very prosperous and happy 2023.
Thank you for staying with us. That was their Health Corner with Dr. Nawina Mufaya, and an interesting topic talking about malaria. You know, malaria is a deadly disease. It is still affecting us as a country in as much as we do not talk much about it. So let's make sure that we are sleeping in a treated mosquito net. I know, because maybe thinking it's old-fashioned. No. If you see there now, we have now advanced mosquito nets that look fancy, and they're not like the ones we used to have those days. So now you have the house like mosquito nets. So let's make sure that we protect, especially children. You have to make sure that children are sleeping under a treated mosquito net.
And this is the time when we have a lot of mosquitoes usually. With the coming of the rainy season and the heats, we have a lot of mosquitoes. So we really need to make sure that we protect the children, especially making sure that they are sleeping under treated mosquito nets, just to avoid them getting malaria. As you have heard from Dr. Mufaya, malaria can also affect your brain and affect various parts of your body. So it's very important to ensure that you protect the children from getting malaria. Some also use mosquito repellents. It's good you use that together with the mosquito net to ensure that your children are protected, our children, even ourselves, are protected from malaria. It is a serious disease that needs to be prevented. Now, we are on the Camnet Breakfast Show, as you may be aware, and we are having quite a number of issues that we are discussing. We were just looking at the health talk with Dr. Mufaya, and giving us an update on malaria and how we can protect ourselves from that particular disease. Patrick, interestingly, malaria has been for a long time, and diseases come and go, it seems. But malaria is still with us and affecting a number of people.
Yeah, you are right. And this is because also malaria does not only affect Zambia. We are seeing that other countries. So sometimes you travel, you go to this country, you come and bring the malaria. We were at a point where we're talking about completely eliminating malaria. In fact, in the country, we have areas that where you cannot find malaria there because of the measures that have been put in place. But it does resurface because of some of the issues I'm talking about. For example, even the migration of mosquitoes from those areas where they are prone, then into areas where they are not supposed to be. We also have you see whereby you go and contract malaria elsewhere, you come with it. Also, all those things tend to make sure that malaria remain persistent in our communities. And like you said, we had I think sometimes I get concerned because some of the diseases we do not give them the attention we give other diseases.
Sure.
I understand if we're as a global community, if we were paying attention to the subjects of COVID-19 pandemic, the way we replicate the same to malaria to let's say to TB, to non-communicable diseases such as heart disease, diabetes, I think would have been way far ahead in terms of us responding to diseases. But you'd find that other diseases hardly get the political will, even the commitment from the health sector or sector players. So I think overall, it's something we need to look at to make sure that each disease gets the necessary attention that it needs, because they equally affect the population.
Sure.
So if we're not doing anything about it, then it means that we are severely affected. Yeah, so Kozi, we have to now look at some of the stories. We'll be looking at the money market. I know our people are accustomed to understanding the money market, especially every morning after the health corner. But we had not managed to get an updated version. So as soon as it is ready, we can go ahead and give the rates to people, especially those in the business community who understand these things, and especially who have interest pertaining to how they are exchanging the kwacha against other major convertibles. It is important for their planning and for their activities as they go about their businesses. So we are making sure that we give you that update on the money market. So, but for now, what's some of the stories we have there?
We have quite a number of interesting stories this morning, but let's quickly get into the first one, and this one comes from the opposition Patriotic Front members of Parliament who have described the appointment of Dr. Ron Mwambwa as Auditor General as unconstitutional and illegal on account of age. Now, on Monday, the 25th of September 2023, President Hakainde Hichilema announced the appointment of the 63-year-old Ron Mwambwa as the new Auditor General against the laws of Zambia. Meanwhile, Shiwangandu Member of Parliament Stephen Kampyongo has challenged President Hakainde Hichilema to reshuffle and make changes in the ministry, like the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Health, if changes at the level of information and media are based on incompetence. We have details in the following report.
Opposition Patriotic Front members of Parliament today, Wednesday 27 September 2023, held a press briefing to address matters of national importance ranging from reshuffles made by President Hakainde Hichilema to the headline in one of the local publications that sparked debate this week, where the head of the judiciary is quoted to be calling for respect for gay rights. Lukasha Member of Parliament George Sanga and his counterpart from Fera constituency Emmanuel Tembo condemned the remarks by the Chief Justice Mumba Malirang.
There are some lawyers or legal practitioners or trained lawyers who have also voiced their support for Mr. Malira. But I can tell you that from reading what Dr. Malira had said and what they themselves are saying, that two different positions. They are supporting him for something that he didn't even say. So, look, Mr. Malira has tried to clarify this position. But now we have an agenda item that we have to deal with as a nation, because those who belong to the minority have taken this as a very important topic for discussion, and they would like to invite the public now to begin to discuss it. We would like to state that we've stated before as a Patriotic Front that we do not support gay rights.
The coming in of Kamala Harris in Ghana, Tanzania, and Zambia was purely for that purpose. But in Zambia, because as opposition, we took a very strong stance. We preempted that, they could not raise it. But we are aware that the UPND has agreed outside with all these people to do this. And that's why you see there are people being escorted by the police and, campaigning for these rights. There are these things they call September, July, Lusaka. Now, we've seen it coming from the top, just a person who's in charge of justice system. There's no law, there's no human rights issue.
On the other hand, Shiwangandu Member of Parliament Stephen Kampyongo is challenging President Hakainde Hichilema to reshuffle as many ministries which are not performing to the Zambians' expectations.
Nominee who has been appointed to serve as Auditor General does not qualify under the Constitution on account of age. So what we are asking for is not anything unusual. It's something that has happened. And so we are just requesting the President to remedy the situation by making a suitable appointment. We have had an example, Madam Lombe Chinywe Sekunda, judge of many years, and who served as acting Chief Justice couldn't be ratified here on account of age. And this is what we are saying to this nominee who has been appointed to serve as Auditor General. And if people are being fired, they're being fired for lack of, for being incompetent, then the president hasn't even started. Because most of the people that have failed Zambians are still in the jobs.
Meanwhile, leader of the opposition in parliament, Brian Mundubire, is accusing Republican President Hakainde Hichilema of failing to uphold the constitution of the land.
It's emphasized that the supremacy of the constitution and duty of all leaders is to uphold the nation's fundamentals and values. If you hear from the discussions, basically we have two main subjects today. We are talking about the comment that came from the Chief Justice on LGBTQ rights. We are also talking about the appointment of the Auditor General. So the role that we have as leaders, as political leaders, is to uphold our fundamental values and principles. The president does not like Article 252. We want to remind the president, it is the law as it is, not the law as it ought to be.
Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
Thank you very much, Vincent. So that was the story talking about the members of parliament from the opposition Patriotic Front giving their views on some of pertinent issues that are happening in the country. And there are two things, Patrick, that have come out of that particular report of interest to me. One is the issue of the appointment of the Auditor General, who, according to Article 252, does not qualify because he's over the age of 60. He is 63 years old. And the other issue is the issue of Chief Justice, who made statements, and the opposition members of parliament have reacted.
Yeah, those are two interesting topics, Kozi. In the case of the issue of the Chief Justice, again, if we have precedents where even another person was rejected on account of age, I think the president did not go ahead to, must have not gone ahead to replicate what was done, because precedence shows that this undertaking was rejected previously. So probably the president should have done due diligence. I don't know the handlers or the people who surround the president, if they did their homework and making sure, because they do, I understand that they do the vetting process. So if they did do that, we don't know. But if it's on account of age, I don't think in Zambia we have a limitation of accountants. People who can be able to conduct audits. I think we have a lot of accountants, young ones, who can be appointed to take up that job as the Auditor General of this country. So, so I think also the person who has been appointed, I think they also equally served previously in government. I don't think we really need to be going back and forth. We can equally just move on and also give space to others. That's my perspective, because if you ask me about how this whole issue can be handled.
And you get a feeling from this matter that this is objective criticism, I think, from the opposition.
Yeah, it is objective criticism, because even myself, because at the time I should be retiring and you are getting me back to active work. I don't think that is good, even for me, for myself, when I should be also giving space to others or young journalists. But I should be, because it should be just about me. I don't think that is also good, because at the end of the day, it's about also giving space to others with a new idea, because this is the 21st century. We have people now who can be able to adjust to information communication technology, because this is the era we are in. So now, how do you continue to adapt, especially when you are at that age? Because even audits nowadays, they require one to be on top in terms of understanding these information communication technology aspects. Because, you know, these people, these young ones who are in these ministries or offices, government offices, they are complicated. They know how to move around the system. They have new systems, ICTs. So now that which can even make the work difficult. So you need someone who is able to understand. Say, oh, no, you are manipulating me there, and I'm coming for you. So we need a fresh young blood, Kosi. And like you say, I think the criticism is based on the Constitution.
Sure.
I do not see anything that is controversial there.
This is not political.
Yeah, it's not political. I think it is they are looking at constitutional aspects and also precedents that was set before in the past. So now, on the other hand, we have been talking about this other subject pertaining to gay rights, and I think these other, what they call the minority rights, I think there's a systematic approach in which these people are undertaking these maneuvers. If you observe, you see test the waters. I'm now testing the waters with high institutional officers. I think that is not good, because as a Chief Justice, you know, we spoke to him, but he did try to say that was not actually what he said, but saying the other aspect. But you know, for me as a journalist who has been able to work on various stories, overall the objective of that story was deliberately crafted. So when the story was deliberately crafted, it was deliberately crafted with the headline with a screaming headline to test the waters. So now, the tabloid also, I suspect they were aware. And if the Chief Justice was misquoted in any way, we should have seen him talking hard against the tabloid. But again, we saw lawyers coming to support what the Chief Justice claimed to have lavished, to say that's what not he meant. But what were they supporting? So it was saying, let's start. Then the next move, get in. This other person start championing the agenda on these lawyers. So, and according to those PF officials, they are suggesting that, probably, those arrangements. So, but we cannot prove that. But you cannot just wake up systematically and saying a group of lawyers, you would have sat somewhere and planned this. So this is a discourse they want to bring us to. But I think based on the history, Zambians, I don't think they are ready to journey on that on that trip, Kosi. And I've seen the ending of people who have taken the same route being bad. In that Zambians don't entertain that. Majority.
So that is about the opposition.
But yes, and sorry for interrupting you. I wanted us to also look at the other story where retired Archbishop of the Catholic Diocese of Lusaka, Most Reverend Bishop Teres Fompundu, is saddened with a statement attributed to Chief Justice Mumbamalira calling for the respect of gay rights. The Archbishop Emeritus adds that the remarks made by the Chief Justice are immoral and do not reflect the Zambian moral fiber. The Archbishop Emeritus Mpundu notes that the education system in the country has contributed to the high poverty levels in the country. So let's have a look at that story. Keep it on Camnet TV, and let's get interacting on our Facebook page. Give us that message and tell us where you're watching us from. We want to hear from you.
This is a statement attributed to the head of the judiciary, the Chief Justice, Dr. Mumbamalira, which has received wide condemnation from the various stakeholders and the general citizenry. Retired Archbishop of the Catholic Diocese of Lusaka, His Grace Most Reverend Teres Fompundu, says the remarks by the Chief Justice are immoral and un-Zambian.
It is a national year of shame, especially when we get things, from the Chief Justice. Terrible. A human being is created in the image and likeness of God. That's what we are as human beings. It's a shame, a national year of shame, of politics that have no guidance to this nation, which is going through problems of poverty, jobs, and so on and so forth.
Archbishop Mpundu, on the other hand, has blamed the Zambian education system of contributing to poverty levels in the country. He says the education system does not train learners for the industry.
The kind of education system that we have is useless. It makes young people just not useful at all, because it is not geared towards giving skills to young people. This is why you have the poverty levels. I don't know.
Emeritus Archbishop Teresfo Mpundu says there's need to restructure the education system so that learners are specialized from childhood. According to the Zambia Statistics Agency, the 2022 poverty assessment of the country revealed that about 60% of the citizens are poor, up from 54% in 2015. Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
There you have it, and thank you for staying with us on the Camnet Breakfast Show. We are zooming in some of the stories that are making the headlines, and that's a story where retired Archbishop of the Catholic Diocese of Lusaka, Reverend Bishop Teresfo Mpundu, where he was expressing concern pertaining to the statement made by the Chief Justice. He was also giving an aspect on the poverty story. We have been looking at the story on poverty for this week, causing.
So that is about the former Archbishop, and I think that it puts the government on the spot, and they really need to react as regards the issues to do with gay rights. What's the stand of government? And since we have statements coming from Chief Justice as regards issues to do with gay rights, I think we need now to get the stance and see where we're moving.
I think we have a caller. You are through to the Camnet Breakfast Show. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, and how are you, sir? Mr. Mukuma from Livingstone.
Yes, thank you very much. You know me. Cozy, how are you?
Very well, thanks. How are you, sir?
We are very fine.
Okay.
You know, it's very unfortunate, my brothers, that every time in this nation, we still dwell on things that God cannot allow. I don't know what kind of people that we want to be. Yes, I agree with the Teresfo Mpundu. Gayism has got no place in this nation. I was in Western Province, specifically Kaoma. You know, those people in Kaoma, mostly they are rural dwellers. But they also stick in the line of saying they cannot allow a man to marry a man. They cannot allow a woman to marry a woman, or a girl to marry a girl, or a boy to marry a boy. They stick in those lines. Zambia is a project in the hands of God. That's what this government must know. Even the way politics is changing for 2026, no matter what they speak, things will change in 2026. Government is going to change. Because it is God himself who brought in this presidency so that people now can have two faces to compare. And now he's going to do his own again in 2026. So we must not be talking about theism, lesbianism, LGBT. No, that is us. We must talk about the education system. As Teresfo Mpundu has spoken. The education system in Zambia, yes, it is bad. Let them train pupils from education to get food in the lessons or let me say in the lessons that will give them skills. You know, in Europe, they don't train their students in lessons that will make them vulnerable when they grow. No! Education system has to change. I want to add something again. Yesterday, I was watching from Florida Central. That motion was supposed to be supported by all members of parliament. But we saw some members of parliament from Southern Province even disregarding that motion. It's very unfortunate. Our veterans, freedom fighters, need to be appreciated. And the law must be there to be appreciated. And not only that, we have got also our people living in albinism. They need also to be supported like any other people that have been supported. There are people who are given free medicine here in Zambia when their medical conditions was brought about by their own healers. But what about people living in albinism? Freedom fighters, you can give them salary. So it is up to the CF now to champion these things so that when they come to this power 26, they can do these things for the betterment of the nation. The nation is suffering, my brother. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jones Mukuma from Livingston. You too can give us your contribution on the Camnet Breakfast Show. We are looking at some of the stories making the headlines, and we did zoom in some of the stories. And remember, it is myself, Patrick Soko, and Makokwa Kozi on the Thursday edition of the Camnet Breakfast Show, where we talk about governance, policy, and politics. And interesting enough, we were talking to one of the callers expressing concern on some of the stories that we have looked at. Kozi.
Yes, he did pick on the story of issues to do with gay rights, and he, according to him, says Zambians don't want anything to do with gayism. He went to some rural setup where people do not want to see a man marrying a fellow man and a woman marrying a fellow woman. So you can also call us and give us your thoughts on what we are discussing this particular morning. Various stories we are looking at this morning. The other one comes from the Ministry of Home Affairs, and it says the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, Jack Mwimbo, has urged all law enforcement institutions in the country to take advantage of the existing cyber security laws to collaborate with the Zambia Information and Communications Technology Authority to fight crime. Now, speaking when he officiated at the graduation of 347 immigration assistants intake of 2023 at Lilai in Lusaka, Mr. Mwimbo said he is excited to note that part of the training for the officers included information communication technology, ICTs, which is key in modern security operations. Now, he adds that the government recognizes the importance of efficient immigration department to national development, which is why it quickly embarked on the recruitment of 347 officers to respond to human resource challenges in the establishment.
Before you do that, I think we have a caller.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Your name and where you are calling us from?
I'm calling you from
Mr. Patrick, please go ahead and give us your thought.
Yeah, I want to comment on the citizenship from my dealer. I fully support the government that we totally say no to it and Zambia and Christianity. Those things should not be supported. At all costs, that is the aim for what government wants to do, is let them stop. And I think we should get more of Mugamagida who start with the viewers, because we are seeing groups of different people talking, and we have just seen it on paper that the Chief Justice wants to put for reggae, very right. But where is the clip where he talked about it, so that we are fully focusing about it also? Because we cannot just rely on paper. Maybe it was quoted, but not, need those things also so that they can be concerned people also. Because we shouldn't be too judgmental also. Then I want you people to clear me on my mind on something that I did at UPH, that something was failed because of gay rights. Do we have that office for we at UPH? If it's there, what do you think of it and what is it doing in this? That's my contribution.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patrick, for your contribution, and we are glad that Sorwezi is also listening to the breakfast show this morning.
Yes, so you also can get in touch with us by calling the numbers that are on your screens so that you can give us your thought on what we're discussing this particular morning. You can also go to our Facebook page, which is Camnet TV, and leave your contribution on the comment section of this particular broadcast. We are going to be very, very happy to hear what you think about what we are discussing. Patrick, I know that we are time conscious now, but what is the next story?
Well, the story that we have is also a story where it is opposition Patriotic Front presidential aspirant Mao Sampa has filed a certificate of agency before the Lusaka High Court in a case where he is cited the party's vice president Given Lubinda and party secretary general Rafael Nakachinda for contempt. According to his certificate of agency, Mr. Sampa tells the court that the matter is of extreme urgency because Mr. Lubinda and Mr. Nakachinda are busy convening meetings and acting in total breach of the injunction on record. He has alleged that the duo is threatening to expel him from the Patriotic Front party. In this matter, Mr. Sampa has commenced the contempt proceedings against the duo, arguing that Mr. Lubinda appointed Mr. Nakachinda as Secretary General of the party, knowing well that the court directed that the party desists from acting as such. In February 2023, the High Court Judge Timothy Katenekwa granted Mr. Sampa an expert order of extreme injunction restraining Mr. Lubinda and Mr. Nakachinda, Mr. Nixon Chirangwa from holding themselves out as acting president and secretary general of the PF until the final determination of Sampa's suit against them. So that's a story there from the court, and the PF continues to also be entangled in its internal wrangles. Because is it good for them, and is it good for them providing checks and balances? Because Zambians need the PF to, in terms of providing checks and balances.
And I think that PF must concentrate on first having the conference and then put leaders in place. I think that is when they can offer credible checks and balances to the government, as opposed where they are fighting. Because now, according to that statement, Mr. Chirangwa and Mr. Lubinda masquerading as leaders of the opposition Patriotic Front. And if so, then where does Mr. Lubinda then get the powers to appoint a new Secretary General in Rafael Nakachinda? So I think that the PF should put its house in order. It's one of the biggest opposition political parties that should be giving checks and balances to the opposition. They did give checks and balances on the issue of gay rights and the issue of the appointment of the Auditor General. I think that's the direction that the PF must take. Let them put their house in order, let them put their leadership in place, and then they can go ahead, concentrate now on giving checks and balances. You can't be fighting inside and also try to give checks and balances. I think they need to sort out the mess in the house first.
Interesting. Do we have that money market ready yet? Oh, let me just also I update the people regarding how the kwacha is failing, because we cannot live before doing that.
Sure.
Yes, so $1 is buying at 20 kwacha 51 ngwe and selling at 20 kwacha 92 ngwe. The Great British Pound is buying at 24 kwacha 92 ngwe and selling at 25 kwacha 42 ngwe. And The euro is buying at 21 kwacha 66 ngwe and selling at 22 kwacha 09 ngwe, and the South African rand is buying at 1 kwacha 07 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 09 ngwe. So those are your money market updated today, this morning at the 28th of September 2023 at 0731. So that is your update. Those of you who are trading using the local currency and understanding how you are going to, if you convert it into another foreign currency like the US dollar, how much you're going to have, that's how much you are going to be having, and that's how the kwacha is falling. This one, it's been trying to go back a little bit, moving away, trying to move away from the 21. So we hope that it should continue that journey of going downwards. We don't want it to continue that journey upwards.
Yes, we are almost coming to the end of the month. The monthly fuel reviews will depend on the performance of the kwacha, and so we are hoping that the downward trend continues on the kwacha, so that maybe, but for now, as things stand, before we continue, let's see if we can get in our last caller this morning. Hello, good morning.
Yes, please. I just want to pick on education.
Your name and where you are calling us from, sir?
We lost that call.
Hello.
Okay.
Please, when you do call us back, and when you call, you can equally tell us your name and where you are calling us from. That feedback is good for us, and we have to know the person we're talking to. We may be talking to someone who is from Tanzania.
Sure.
Or Angola.
It's
we want to understand if we can be captured from that side, but it's good that you're here. And do call us back, and we want to hear you. We can pick your call as the last call. You were explaining something, Cozy.
I was talking about the month coming to an end, and of course the effect of the quarter's performance against the other major currencies on the monthly review of fuel. As we know that fuel plays a major role in the country's economy. So I think that it is important to make sure that the kwacha gains a little bit of some stability in order for us to see a reduction in the pump price of fuel and other petroleum products, which play a very critical role in issues to do with the economy. And we have to move on, Patrick. I know that we are racing against time now.
Yeah, so I think this is where we have to call it a day on the Camnet Breakfast Show. We have to prematurely end the program because we have to pave way for maintenance work on our upgrade of our system that we are working on in the background. And as usual on Camnet TV, we are working towards making sure that we serve you better, and we are improving on the technical side of things. Keep it on Camnet TV for the rest of the programming. This has been Patrick Soko and Marco Kwakozi. Until next week when we come with another interesting episode of the Camnet Breakfast Show, Governance, Policy and Politics.